Greetings one and all, this is Rhythmworks and welcome gamers one and all to my channel. Now after playing for nearly just under 30 hours of The Last of Us Part 2 on moderate level, I want to give you my take and my review on it. Now before I even do that, I want to give you a backstory as to how I even got into Naughty Dog's games. Now with Naughty Dog, everybody associates Naughty Dog with Uncharted, right? So that's where my starting point of my knowledge of Naughty Dog began. Now, I kind of came to the Uncharted party a little bit late. I came into the Uncharted party when it was the impending release of Uncharted 3. And I was wondering whether or not I should play Uncharted 1 and 2 to kind of get to grips with what the whole Uncharted saga was about. Fortunately for me, Uncharted 1 and 2 had been on sale prior to the release of Uncharted 3, so I decided to take the plunge and buy both games. And when I played Uncharted 1, I was absolutely sold. Hook, line and sinker, without a shadow of a doubt. So I had no doubt in my mind that Uncharted 3 was going to be a kick-ass game, hands down. When it was finally released, I was playing co-op arena non-stop on crushing level. Every day. Now fast forward to Uncharted 4, which started to become a bittersweet moment for me and Naughty Dog for the simple reason I'm going to explain. Now when Uncharted 4 came out, I just naturally thought that Uncharted 4 was just going to follow on neatly from Uncharted 3 in terms of the implementation of the game modes within it. Now, when I actually received Uncharted 4, from the day one release to the inclusion of co-op arena was in total of 6 months. I had to wait 6 months before Naughty Dog implemented co-op gameplay in that game, which kind of saddened me, because of the games that I played before and my enjoyment of the games I played before with the modes that were included out of the box. So I found that kind of strange, and it was kind of leaving me asking questions. Well, did they rush the release or blah 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 blah? Who knows at this point in time? But I remember Neil Druckmann on a panel at E3 basically talking about Uncharted 4, and he was being very blasé, saying, yeah, we're going to release it such and such and such and such and such, and it just wasn't released on that day. So it kind of leads me to think that they were kind of rushing the release, but I could be wrong. Anyway, so even with playing Uncharted 3 without co-op arena for 6 months, I still forgave them because I absolutely love the standard of mechanics and gameplay and fidelity that Naughty Dog had to offer in their game. So I forgave them for that, absolutely. I even went into Uncharted Golden Abyss on the PS Vita. That's how much I started to really love the franchise, even though I got into the Uncharted saga a little bit late. Anyway, fast forward into Uncharted The Lost Legacy. Absolutely loved that game as well, and they tied in the multiplayer between that game and Uncharted 4, which didn't make sense to me, and it still doesn't make sense to me now. Naughty Dog at that time really wanted to concentrate on the storytelling aspect of their games, which was more or less top, front and center in their list of priorities, which I totally understand. But I wanted to get more of a feel of the game by way of multiplayer, the same feeling that I had when I played Uncharted 3 and by playing co-op arena, which was my personal favorite, and actually meeting up with so many diverse gamers in that game. There was a high percentage of female gamers playing that game as well. I met so many, so many, and it just proved to be one of those games that was like the game that kind of introduced them to first person shooters like Call of Duty. It would always be the game to test out their prowess before they actually got into first person shooters, which in turn happened to me. So unwittingly, Uncharted 3 got me into playing first person shooters, and it was something of a feat for anyone or anything to do, because my prior knowledge of Call of Duty games, first person shooter games in general, would be watching videos of people absolutely raging playing Call of Duty, and I vowed I was never gonna be a statistic at all playing those kind of games. But nonetheless, it just tickled the funny bone, it floated my boat, and meeting up with the ball bags and playing loads of games with them and playing Call of Duty with them, and actually arriving late at that party as well, because I arrived at that party from Call of Duty Ghosts. Yeah, I know it wasn't really a good point to enter the party, but enter the party I did, and I still continue to play now. So sticking with the same timeline as Uncharted 3, with the announcement and gameplay of The Last of Us Part 1, which was featured at an E3 event. I forgot the year, but upon seeing that, I was absolutely gobsmacked, because we were moving from a saga of games which was very Raiders of the Lost Ark-esque, Tomb Raider-esque, tongue-in-cheek, very quippy set of games, to a game which was very, very dark in nature. And for someone who was not really a zombie type of gamer, I was still intrigued, because it was Naughty Dog, and the brand recognition just superseded itself towards my interest. So I pre-ordered the game, and I bought the game, and I played the game. Within the first half an hour of playing that game, it still remains the only game to have brought a tear to my eye. No other video game has ever done that before or since. Hands down, The Last of Us has brought tears to my eyes playing that game. Never thought a game could ever do that to me, but it had done. Such is the power of the storytelling within the game. Absolutely loved The Last of Us Part 1 when it was released, and I played a ton of it. I made series called Chilling and Killing for my YouTube channel, and just continued playing factions, multiplayer in that, until the release of the Abandoned Territories DLC. Now, the maps we got for free, however, they were releasing scoped versions of weapons that I already basically grinded for, which they were selling, I think it was for £2.40. And I was really annoyed at that, because I never thought that Naughty Dog would go into the whole microtransaction route in terms of weapons. Cosmetic, I had no problem in purchasing any cosmetics for their games. You know what I mean? That was just my way of supporting them, as it's anybody's way of supporting their favorite game. But for them to be selling scoped versions of weapons that I more or less had to grind for disturbed me. It really did. Really did. And as a result, I just stopped playing. And after making videos about the subject, people try to slam dunk me with their arguments about, well, you know, it's not really pay to play, play to win, or blah 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 blah. And I'm thinking, well, I was like you, I was a Naughty Dog apologist like you, but they just went a step too far with the whole microtransaction thing with the weapons. And I thought, no, I am not doing it. I'm standing my ground, and I stopped playing. Stopped playing The Last of Us, period. Fast forward to December 2017 with the announcement and availability for pre-order The Last of Us Part 2. Well, by that time, I was literally throwing my money at the computer screen. Despite all of Naughty Dog's misdemeanors, I forgave them again, because one thing that cannot be disputed is that Naughty Dog makes quality games, irrespective of what they leave in and what they take out, what they fry, dye, lay to the side. It doesn't matter, because Naughty Dog is always associated with quality. So it was a no-brainer at this point in time. So from there, we had the delay of the game. We had the COVID-19, which was kind of ironic because of the content of the game and the story of the game. And then we had the spoiler leaks and stuff like that, during which time I purposely avoided any news about The Last of Us 2, because I wanted to get a fresh perspective with a fresh pair of eyes and ears. Now here's my thoughts on The Last of Us Part 2. Now you don't really want me to tell you that the game looks good. You already know that the game looks good. It really does look good. HDR, film grain, the works. They slapped everything on it and a bag of chips, man. The game looks absolutely awesome, without a shadow of a doubt. I also found myself being in a box set. I don't know if that makes sense to anyone, but I found myself, as I was playing the game, that the writing of the story was very synonymous with like actually watching a box set on Netflix or something like that. And unsurprisingly, it was revealed that the lead writer, her name is Haley Gross, or Haley Gross, I don't know how to pronounce her name. She's one of the lead writers for Westworld. I've never seen an episode of Westworld yet, but one thing is for sure, her penmanship is ever present throughout the game. I absolutely enjoyed it. Now, there may be a lot of negative reviews, and everyone has a right to their own reviews as to what they thought of the game, and it's valid to them. But for me personally, going into the game, I knew what the game was going to present, and I knew the way the story was going to be presented. Now, when you move from shooters to co-op games to story-driven games, it can be quite a leap from each to each, as it were. But for me, The Last of Us has always been a game where you simply just have to just invest your time in the characters and the development of the characters. And that's what it has done again with The Last of Us Part 2. To the point where the one thing that I was very dubious about, the omission of multiplayer, I didn't even miss the fact that there was no multiplayer in the game. And after playing The Last of Us Part 2, I'm thinking, well, how is multiplayer going to present itself? Yeah, there'd be the different enemy types and what have you, but it will still roughly be the same type of game, if you like. I don't know, but the decision by Naughty Dog to tell the story and tell, a huge story at that, I think was a brave move, a brave decision, and to a point, a good decision. In my case, for the £45 I've paid for the game. I think personally it is worth that. To pay more for that, I don't know. I have a friend in Canada and he's telling me that the game is retailing for 100 Canadian dollars. I wouldn't buy the game for that. I wouldn't buy the game for that. I'd wait for a price drop. But then trying to avoid all of the spoilers in between that time is going to be a bit of a it's going to be a bit of a task, let's just say. But nonetheless, there's nothing really I can say about The Last of Us Part 2 without relatively spoiling it in some kind of way. So I'm not going to do that. But if you liked The Last of Us Part 1, you're definitely going to like The Last of Us Part 2. Certain things that happened in the game, I was kind of expecting. certain things I didn't expect was going to happen did happen. So make of that what you will. But overall, out of 10, I give The Last of Us Part 2 11, man. 11. Absolutely stunning game. And I'm not being a Naughty Dog apologist based upon my experiences with Naughty Dog in the past. So I hope you can understand the backstory to this whole review of The Last of Us Part 2, and not just saying, yeah, it's a beautiful game, I love the game because it's Naughty Dog. Okay, anyway, I can hear myself beginning to waffle. So it's with that I'm going to bid you guys an adieu. If you've played it, you let me know what you thought of the game without giving too much spoilers away, so that other people can get the chance to enjoy it for themselves as well. Let me know what you thought of the game. Is it worth its price point? Did you miss the multiplayer or the lack of multiplayer? Whatever. But yeah, give me your thoughts in the comment section below. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for stopping by. I want to thank you guys for passing through. And as always, you don't know the coup, whatever the game, media, platform, format, genre, happy gaming. If you are happy gaming, I'm happy for you and I'm happy with you. So until we link up next time, people stay blessed. I'm out of here. Maganski. Laters.